is terrible. It's the happiest place on earth. Why would you do that? Also, I'm confused why illegal immigrants would try to shut down Disneyland. It has a wall around it, and you need tickets to enter, and you are thrown out if you illegally trespass. So it seems like a weird place to protest. But we'll get to all of those things. Yesterday, that wasn't the only place that they were protesting, by the way. They apparently blocked an entrance to Disneyland on Monday. Now, we were at Disneyland on Sunday. We had a great time, met some fans, which is always a party. It's kind of fun going to places like Disneyland. You meet a lot of listeners, and hello to all of the people I met at Disneyland. That was always a party. But according to the LA Times, the next day, Monday, DACA recipients stood in a crosswalk at South Harbor Boulevard around 10 a.m. and blocked buses from entering the Anaheim theme park. 15 protesters were quickly removed by law enforcement officers and were relocated to a sidewalk where they held signs and chanted, "No dream, no deal." So it's about 20 people, and Disneyland operated completely normally. I do have a question, as I say. As a regular Disneyland patron and, yes, season ticket holder, I have 2 young children, this is insanely idiotic. What in the hell does the happiest place on earth have to do with people illegally in the country retaining their ability to stay in the country? It ought to be noted that Disneyland has a pretty strict immigration policy. No ticket, no entry. And they have a wall, a giant fence around the entire park. And if you try to climb the wall, they will call the police on you. So Disneyland, unless they were protesting for free entry to Disneyland, which is something I might be able to get behind on occasion, I don't know why they would do this. But it just demonstrates that demonstrators themselves just do things without really any thought, simply to get the press. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer is idiotically trying to blackmail Republicans. I don't think any of this is going anywhere, as I suggested yesterday. I don't think a DACA deal is imminent. I don't think that Mitch McConnell is going to push one. I don't think Trump is going to sign one. I think in all likelihood we hit the March 5th deadline for reinstating deportations, and Trump just says, listen, we're not going to give you papers, but we're also not going to deport most of the Dreamers. And they go back to sort of this in the shadows, in between status. I got some emails yesterday, and they're quite correct, suggesting this is bad for the Dreamers because with their current sort of green card status, they can get jobs. Trump would prevent them from getting jobs. The truth is that illegal immigrants in this country have been working for a very long time, which is how they've been able to stay in the country. And yes, it will revoke certain legal status in terms of work, but it won't actually deport them. Anyway, Chuck Schumer is trying to blackmail McConnell, saying you have 16 days or I'm going to get really mad. Like, he's saying that he's not going to shut down the government again. So or at least he's implied that. So I'm not sure what the stick is. I understand that the carrot is the DACA deal. I just don't know what the stick is. Here's Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, warning McConnell.
So the Republican majority now has 16 days to work with us to write a bill that can get 60 votes and prevent the Dreamers from being deported. The clock is ticking. 16 days. That's not much time. Got to get moving.
Okay, so I don't know what clock is ticking. Like, on February 8th, they're going to shut down the government again. I mean, Schumer just gave away all his leverage. He also said yesterday that it was pretty obvious that Democrats weren't going to be willing to shut down the government for the Dreamers. I mean, he said this literally yesterday.
Now, for 2 days, the government was shut down. But all of us in the Democratic caucus, not just the moderates, but the liberals as well, came to the view that if we carried it on much longer, 2 things would happen. A, no one would budge. The public would lose support of the shutdown. The public does not like shutdowns. And we'd actually lose support for Dreamers, too, because people love the Dreamers but don't want the government shut down for it. So we cut the best deal that we could.
So I'm really confused as to what the threat is. He's saying you have 16 days or I won't shut down the government again because our people don't want us to do this. Good luck with that strategy. Okay, it's going nowhere. The reality is Schumer doesn't want a deal because he wants to be able to claim Republicans stopped a deal. Republicans do want a deal, but not on the terms Democrats are offering. And the Democrats are basically offering nothing now. I mean, Schumer yesterday decided that he was going to withdraw his pittance of an offer, $1.6 billion in border security in return for legal status for the Dreamers and their parents. And Trump said no. And then Schumer withdrew the offer after Trump said no. So this is going nowhere. What is hilarious, as I mentioned, is the Dreamers showing up at Chuck Schumer's house. Here are some of the Dreamers protesting outside Schumer's house.
Trump won't let us dream. We won't let him sleep. If Trump won't let us dream, we won't let him sleep. If Trump won't let us dream, we won't let him sleep.
Okay, it says if Chuck won't let us dream, then we won't let him sleep. Note to these people, Chuck Schumer was not sleeping in his house last night. He was in Washington, D.C., so very, very bright stuff. Again, the Democrats are offering nothing. Blumenthal, Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal, he said that Democrats would support increased border security but no wall. So obviously this negotiation is going nowhere.
A border wall is a waste of money, squandering billions of dollars on an ineffective solution to border security is really reprehensible. So we are going to be supporting border security, surveillance, drones, more training for the agents who are there, and additional agents.
It is nonsense. They don't want more border security. On a deal. A deal of any sort here. Okay, so here's the reality. The Democrats are not interested in a deal because Democrats are in favor of illegal immigration. Okay, they really are. Okay, the reason that I say this is because the state of California, my home state, one of the perhaps I don't think perhaps is the dumbest state in the union. Apparently, there's a new California policy that begins on April 2nd that automatically registers people who obtain or renew driver's licenses to vote. Okay, this is the new policy. The new state policy is that you are registered to vote automatically when you obtain or renew your driver's. Well, California, illegal immigrants. So as an illegal immigrant right now. So the idea that they're trying to crack down on illegal immigrants is silly. By the way, there are certain principalities, I believe, in California where they're openly saying maybe we should allow illegal immigrants to vote. We'll just give them de facto citizenship and allow them to vote. So pretty amazing stuff. But Democrats obviously have an interest in the continuation of illegal immigration. That's why they are fighting so hard against border security, and that is constantly worth pointing out. Okay, in just a second, I'm going to discuss with you the latest that's happening at UConn. I'm supposed to speak at University of Connecticut tonight. Plus, is it worthwhile to forgive President Trump for his sins, for his trespasses? Because it seems like some evangelicals are willing to do just that, and I'll discuss whether that's appropriate or not. But first, you're going to have to go over and subscribe. So first of all, before we get to that, I just want to say that on January 30th, you need to be watching because our president is going to be speaking to the nation in the first State of the Union address. Right? It's going to be a really exciting event, and you should watch it with us here at the Daily Wire. We're doing a special broadcast. It's going to be awesome. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be hanging out with you the entire time, leading up to, during, after the address. We'll be there for every wild hand gesture, for every crazy statement, for every Democrat refusing to stand for particular heroes. We will be there for all of it. Right? And you can catch the live streams at Daily Wire Facebook, or Daily Wire YouTube to spend the evening with me, with Andrew Klavan, with Michael Knowles, and with Daily Wire God King Jeremy Boring, and a bunch of special guests who are going to be dropping by, people that you know and love and who may or may not have mugs. We're going to be having all of them in to relentlessly mock our government and our political leaders. It'll basically be like MS3TK, Mystery Science Theater. It'll be like that, except with politics. So it should be a lot of fun. If you watched our election night broadcast, it was a lot of fun. This should be even more fun because there isn't the pressure of worrying about Hillary Clinton becoming president and or Donald Trump becoming president. So that's next Tuesday, January 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Get notified when we go live so we can spend every single terrible moment of the State. I hate the State of the Union. I freaking hate it. I think the State of the Union is garbage. I'll talk about that more next week. But I really, really hate the State of the Union. I think it's an imperial spectacle that is absolute nonsense and and hogwash. It is not mandated by the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution suggests that the president can be requested to give an update to Congress from time to time. He could send it in a letter. That I think would be better. But instead, we're all going to have to pretend to think this is a great American spectacle. Blech. Anyway, we're going to be there and be negative and terrible about it, or at least I will. And then Michael Knowles and Andrew Klavan will be all happy-dappy-do about it. And then Jeremy Boring will sit there and drink. So that'll basically be how the evening goes. And you can join us, again, at Daily Wire Facebook, Daily Wire YouTube, my Facebook page as well, dailywire.com, all the usual places for that. Okay, now, if you want to subscribe to the show, $9.99 a month, get to a subscription to dailywire.com. And when you get that subscription to dailywire.com, you get the rest of my show live. You get to be part of my mailbag. You get Klavan's show live, Knowles' show live. You also get, with the annual subscription, $99 a year, our world-famous Daily Wire leftist tears hot or cold tumbler. I got a great email from somebody today, actually, about the tumbler. Apparently, this fellow works at a leftist company, and he keeps the tumbler in his car. He drinks coffee on the way to and from work. And apparently, he walked into the office, and there was a guy he was supposed to interview with, and the guy hurriedly took his Daily Wire his Daily Wire tumbler off his desk and hid it in his drawer. And so our stalwart friends then had a half-hour meeting about how awesome we are. You can be part of that secret society, our own Daily Wire secret society, by becoming an annual member and getting the Leftist Tears hot or cold tumbler, which is your passcode. It is your ticket to the secret society. Also, just want to listen later, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, all of these places have our podcast on audio. You can subscribe at YouTube as well. We are the largest, fastest-growing conservative podcast in the nation. The government shutdown ended earlier this week. Democrats got nothing in return. But they are receiving some protests, which is quite entertaining. Apparently, there were a bunch of DACA recipients, dreamers, who actually went outside Chuck Schumer's house and were protesting outside Chuck Schumer's house yesterday. That wasn't the only place. they were texting about James Comey, and then they got rid of all of those texts. All those texts were deleted, or the FBI got rid of all of them as soon as Mueller took over because it made the investigation look bad. Okay, the FBI did change its language regarding Hillary Clinton before Hillary was even interviewed. And, of course, the news that the Democrats hate is this House Intelligence Committee Chairman Nunes' 4-page memo that purportedly blew the lid off the FISA malfeasance in the Trump-Russia collusion case, presumably suggesting that the original FISA warrant against Carter Page was garnered based on a bad dossier compiled by Fusion GPS at the behalf of Democrats and in collusion with the Obama administration, the DOJ, and the FBI. Okay, so that's all of the information. Now, here's the question. Is the FBI actually a corrupt, deeply corrupt place? So there are a bunch of Republicans who are suggesting that the answer is yes, that there's a deeply corrupt thing going on here, right? President Trump is suggesting this himself. President Trump tweeted this out yesterday. He tweeted out, quote, "Where are the 50,000 important text messages between FBI lovers Lisa Page and Peter Strzok blaming Samsung?" Right. So that, of course, is a joke. The Democrats and the media don't understand a joke, so they thought that Trump was actually blaming Samsung, which is idiotic. He is joking that the FBI did away with these. There were not, by the way, 50,000 text messages that were lost between Strzok and Page. There are 50,000 text messages total between Strzok and Page, and some of those were lost. We don't know exactly how many. Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders says that that Trump is deeply concerned that the FBI agents are biased against him and that the FBI has been deeply corrupted and compromised.
Why does he think this is one of the biggest stories in a long time?
I think he thinks that there's a great cause for concern that 5 months worth of text messages have gone missing, particularly given the individual that had part of that process has already been shown to be extremely biased against the president and was involved in what seems to be some very inappropriate behavior. And that certainly is a great concern. You guys are absolutely obsessed with everything to do with collusion. If it has anything to do with the president, we hope that you'll take some of that same obsession, energy, and fervor and direct it to some of the places where it looks like there could have been some really inappropriate and possibly illegal behavior.
Okay, so obviously the Trump administration thinks that the FBI is going after them. Ron Johnson, as I mentioned, the senator from Wisconsin, he is suggesting the same thing. He says, we see serious corruption inside the FBI.
So when the DOJ sent you this letter saying that there was this glitch that prevented those 5 months of text from being released to you, did you buy it? Or do you buy it?
Well, I'm suspicious. I want to get to the bottom of it. And there's so many experts in IT that say that those messages are somewhere and they need to be retrieved. We need to see it because the